Tonight, something is happening in the sky that humans have worshipped, feared, and built entire civilizations around for 10,000 years. The strawberry moon. And this year, it's different. Astronomers are calling it one of the most visually dramatic full moons of the decade. If you've looked up at the sky and felt something you can't explain, an ancient pull, a restlessness, a strange sense that tonight matters, you're not imagining it, you're remembering it. Something buried inside every human being, going back to the first people who ever looked up. This is the complete story of the strawberry moon. The science, the history, the mystery, and why tonight, across every culture on Earth, people will stop, look up, and feel something primal. Let's begin with what it actually is. The strawberry moon is the full moon of June. It gets its name from the Algonquin tribes of North America, who used it as a precise agricultural signal. When the strawberry moon rose, the wild strawberry harvest had begun. Not approximately, not around this time, exactly when this moon appeared. For thousands of years, before clocks, before calendars, before GPS, the moon was the most accurate timekeeping device on Earth, and the June full moon was one of the most important of all. It marked the beginning of summer, the peak of abundance, the moment when the Earth gave its first sweet fruit. But the Algonquin weren't alone. In Europe, the June full moon was called the rose moon, the month when roses bloomed in full. In parts of Asia, it was the honeymoon, the sweetest, warmest moon of the year. And yes, that's where the word honeymoon comes from. Ancient tradition said that couples who married under the June full moon would have the sweetest first month of their life together. The honeymoon, the strawberry moon, different names, the same sky. The Romans called it Luna Rosea, the rose moon, and it marked the midpoint of the Roman agricultural calendar. Crops planted in spring were now at their most vulnerable. Farmers sacrificed offerings to the goddess Ceres under this moon. They believed the light itself had power, that the June full moon nourished plants differently than any other. And here's the thing, they weren't entirely wrong. Across the ancient world, the strawberry moon was not a poetic name. It was a survival tool. Miss this moon, and your harvest was late. Stay up watching for it, and you knew exactly when to pick, when to preserve, when to prepare for winter. The entire food supply of entire civilizations was synchronized to this moment in the sky. In ancient China, the June full moon festival involved lighting lanterns and setting them on water. Entire rivers would fill with floating fire, each one a prayer, a wish, a message to the sky. Thousands of lanterns, rivers of light, all pointing up at the same moon. In ancient Egypt, the June full moon coincided with the annual flooding of the Nile. Egyptians called this moon the moon of Isis, the great mother goddess who wept for Osiris, and whose tears caused the Nile to rise. The flood brought the silt that fertilized the land. The moon was the signal. The connection between sky and earth wasn't metaphor. It was agriculture. It was life. But none of this explains the thing that stops people dead in their tracks when they first see it. The color. Why does the strawberry moon look red? When the full moon sits low on the horizon, especially in June, when it traces its lowest arc of the year, it passes through more of Earth's atmosphere than at any other point in the sky. And the atmosphere acts like a filter. Blue light scatters. It bounces off air molecules and disperses in every direction. That's why the sky is blue during the day. You're seeing scattered blue light. But red light travels in a straight line. It cuts through. It reaches your eyes. So as the strawberry moon rises from the horizon, the blue is stripped away, and what remains is pure red, pure amber, pure gold. It doesn't look like the moon you're used to. It looks like it's on fire, and it looks enormous. The moon illusion. One of the most studied and still partially unexplained phenomena in human perception. When the moon sits on the horizon, your brain compares it to trees, buildings, mountains, and scales it up. The moon appears up to 30% larger near the horizon than it does overhead. You're not imagining it. Your visual system is actively enlarging it. The result is this: a massive, burning red-orange disk rising from the edge of the Earth, and you can't look away. Humans never could. The first recorded eclipse prediction in history, by the Babylonians around 600 BC, was specifically made using patterns they noticed in June full moons. They called June's moon the moon of fire and tracked it obsessively. Because a full moon in June, when the sun is at its highest, creates the lowest arc in the sky. The geometry of summer creates the most dramatic moonrise of the year. Every year. Reliably. Predictably. And across history, some of the most significant events in human civilization happened on or near the June full moon. The Battle of Waterloo, June 18, 1815. Napoleon's final defeat. The moon that night was near full, providing visibility to both armies through the night. Wellington later said the light was almost as bright as day, the moon that ended an empire. The summer solstice festivals at Stonehenge are timed to the June moon. Archaeologists believe the stones were aligned not just with the solstice sun, but with the June full moon's lowest rise point on the horizon. The people who built Stonehenge weren't just watching the sun, they were watching this moon. In 1969, the Apollo 11 mission was launched on July 16th, precisely calculated to use the lunar lighting conditions. But the mission was inspired, in part, by the June full moon seen weeks earlier, the last full moon Neil Armstrong saw from Earth before becoming the first human to walk on another world. The same moon, different centuries, different people, the same feeling of being pulled towards something larger than yourself. Across virtually every spiritual tradition on Earth, the June full moon carries a specific energy. In Vedic astrology, the June full moon falls in Sagittarius, the sign of expansion, knowledge, and truth. Practitioners consider it one of the most powerful moons of the year for clarity and new beginnings. In Buddhism, the full moon of June, called Poson in Sri Lanka, commemorates the arrival of Buddhism on the island. Millions of people gather at sacred sites, light lamps, and meditate through the night. The moon isn't background scenery, it is part of the ceremony. In Celtic tradition, the June full moon was called the Mead Moon, or the Lover's Moon. Festivals of fire and water were held at rivers and hilltops. The belief was that on this specific night, the boundary between the physical world and the spiritual world was at its thinnest. Visions were more vivid, dreams more meaningful, the heart more open. And modern astronomy adds one more layer to this year's strawberry moon. This June's full moon is occurring within days of its closest approach to Earth, what astronomers call near perigee. The moon's orbit isn't perfectly circular, it's an ellipse. At perigee, it's roughly 30,000 miles closer to Earth than at its farthest point. And this year, the strawberry moon is catching that near perigee moment, which means larger, brighter, more dramatic. The already spectacular June moonrise, already the lowest, reddest, most fire-like of the year, is amplified. Scientists calculate the moon will appear approximately 14% larger and 30% brighter than an average full moon. If you've ever looked at a full moon and felt something ancient inside you respond, something you couldn't explain, tonight that feeling will be louder. Because you're not just looking at a rock 240,000 miles away. You're looking at the same moon that Algonquin women watched to know when to pick strawberries. The same moon Egyptian priests watched to predict the Nile flood. The same moon that lit Waterloo, that rose over Stonehenge, that Neil Armstrong saw before he left the Earth forever. Every human being who has ever lived has looked up at this moon. And tonight, it will rise again. Go outside, face east, wait for it. And remember, you are doing exactly what every human being has done for 100,000 years. Looking up, wondering, feeling small, and somehow, because of that, feeling connected to everything. Subscribe if you want to keep exploring the moments in history that changed everything we thought we knew. Because next week, we go underground, into the oldest painted cave on Earth, and what those ancient artists were trying to tell us about the stars.